Guys, this is Gia Felder with Gia Felder Realtor LLC, brokered by Village Premier Collection of Georgia. And today I have an inspector with me, my favorite inspector of all times. I don't know to anyone else because he's so great. He is going to help me out, and he's going to help you guys out by giving you some really good information about the inspection process, something that you have to do, something you need to do, and we're going to discuss it. So let's get started. So how long does a typical inspection, I know you alluded to it already, how long does it typically take? And about how long?
It depends. So it depends. So the longest I had this house in Jonesboro. It was off Tara Lake. It was a larger house, and they had expanded, like they built over the garage and stuff, and the information was wrong. So it said it was only like 4,000 square feet. So I'm like, cool, it's gonna be fine. And I had it as an afternoon appointment too. I got there at 3:30. I didn't leave until 9 something at night.
Wow.
Just taking pictures. I wasn't even like putting anything in a template, like, because at that time I wasn't I used to like just take pictures and come home and write the report at home. But now I'm getting my software together where I can do majority of it on site, so I can line up pictures in the right area on my templates. But that one I didn't do, and battery died on my camera. I was just there forever because it was a nice luxury home, but it was actually on a crawl space. So it took way longer. So the crawl space information wasn't online. So it took longer than it should have. But that's the longest I've had. But the average is 2.5, 3.5 hours. Like today I had one, but it was close to 7,000 square feet. It was a very nice home and clean. But it still took me 4 hours. I got there at 8:40, and I was getting in my van at 12:44. Yeah, 12. Yeah, because I was the buyer called right then to see was I done yet. I'm like, yep, I just finished up. So it happens. But when if it's a ranch, all brick, slab, one story, about 2 hours. Those are lovely. You're in and out, unless it's just like a lot of stuff you can't get to. Like sometimes people put storage in a way. It happens. So that's one thing we don't do. We don't move storage, just as a FYI. So like we try to tell people like, hey, make sure your panel's not blocked, your water heater's not blocked. Like we need to get to those things. So it depends based on the buyer. If I know, say I go to Peachtree City. I live in Loganville. So say I drive all to Peachtree City. I know they really want that house. It's not that much stuff to move. I'll move it to get to what I need to. But if it's like a packed garage, nah, I can't do it because you're moving all this stuff, then you want to put it back, right? Because you can't just leave it. So now you're touching the seller's stuff, and then the seller may say, hey, you broke X, Y, and Z. So that's the reason that we typically don't like moving personal items. We prefer to have free access to what we need. And then so sometimes you might have to just, reschedule and come back another day to, complete the inspection.
Nice. So you've been talking about pictures and, your software. So once you get finished with an inspection, what's the next step is reporting it. So how do you report your findings how long it takes, and then how do you report it to
so I actually just recently switched to a new inspection software called Spectora. I used to use software called Horizon, and it was everything we needed, but at the same time it wasn't moving in the direction that we wanted to move in. So we're getting to the point where we've attained a lot of knowledge in our head, right? So a lot of things we can see real quick. We can just point them out real quick. So it's like we need a better software to capture all these things faster. And I can upload more pictures and I can do more things on site. So at the end of the day, I can spend more time with family at home, right? And not because when I first got started, I would do like 2 inspections a day, and I would be sending out reports at midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. Y'all remember? Yeah. I literally would be up. So I would go do 2 inspections and come home. I'm downloading 200-300 pictures, per property. And I'm going back through all these pictures, looking up, and I'm typing all these notes. And I'm like, I'm getting no sleep, and then you're fighting with Atlanta traffic, so you got to get up early to make it somewhere. So, but now I spend less than an hour at home on reports now, because most of it is done on site now. It's literally majority of it set up on site. I can come home, then I'll go ahead and proofread, add the final few notes, and publish that report. I don't have to think about it. And typically, once we're finished, if the buyer doesn't show up to the inspection, we give them a quick call for a recap afterwards. Just let them know what's going on. Any major things. We won't hit every item, right? Like the house I had today, I had like 80 defects on it, but I only went through the top 5 items, right? Because no seller would ever fix everything you find on the house anyway, right? We know that, but we want that information out there for that buyer. So, we hit the top things that we will focus on if we're buying a house, or things that they may have told us ahead of time that they were concerned about. And then we send that final report later on, so they can, see it. And they're welcome to call back and talk to us later on if they have some questions once they physically get it in hand.
So, this, when we get that report, and when the buyer gets that report and they see 50,000 pages, they're like, what in the world?
Yeah.
So I know you get those calls or emails. So how do you handle those with buyers? Like, how do you help them to calm down?
So the biggest thing is, first of all, I tell them, everything is repairable based, within budget. But I focus on those big things. So I focus on the main pieces, I guess you can say, like the 5 main areas and major areas of a house. So was it an issue with the roof, issue with the HVAC, issue with the plumbing, electrical, or the overall, structure itself? If all those things are intact, now we move it in the right direction. So we can talk about, hey, these are just some cosmetic things like, paint your deck, or, you got a little bit of rot on the outside. So we can, I guess we can section off the important things versus the things that you can do down the line. So say if you got excessive rot on the outside of the house, that's something you may want to take care of prior to closing, right? Or as soon as you close, that way it doesn't cause any further deterioration inside the home. Like simple stuff. Sometimes we call out downspouts too close to the house, right? That's an easy fix. It's $11 to get downspout extension. That's nothing to be concerned about, right? So we'll walk them through item by item. If they have issues like, hey, let's start at item 1. Is this an issue for you? And this is why. Well, this is why it's not an issue. It's more of like we call out bird's nest, we call out wasp nest. And like you may think it's petty, but what if the person allergic to wasp or bees?
Exactly.
Let them know about it, and it's on them to decide whether they want to get it knocked down or not. Or like, it's free to knock it down. It's in there, but it's free. So we want to look at those high dollar items, right? If it's more than $500, if it's more than $1,000, we break that down to them, and then that's why a lot of people come back to us, because we can maneuver them through the report so they can know what's good and what's not good and where they should move forward with the house.
That's exactly why I still use you. And then when you tell me something
that.
like, oh, it only takes $11, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's simple. Like, it sounds bad, but it's literally a cheap fix. Like, oh yeah, downspouts drain too close to the house. It's $11 for extension. It's that simple. Like, and that's how we break things down. We don't put prices in reports, but when you physically talk to us, we can tell you, what it typically costs to get some of those things done.
Yeah. So want to talk about inspecting a resale versus new construction. So how, in your mind, like, how are they different? How are they?
Honestly, they're not different. The only true difference is, I know that I won't be calling out aged units. That's honestly the only difference, because you know what? At the end of the day, besides water, humans are the worst things that can happen to a house, and humans build houses. So in new construction, you're going to have mistakes. It's just bound to happen, right? Whether they didn't put some flashing on the roof or on the sidewall, whether they didn't install exhaust fans, whether they missed and putting insulation in, whether if I just did a left of pre-drywall, maybe they didn't put the poly seal in or any fire blocking. So those things happen. But we're actually still going through the process the same way. Whether it's new construction, whether it's a resale, it's the process the same. But typically, you should find less defects. But I will say, in this past year and a half, I've been getting a lot of defects on new construction, and I won't say it's because they're rushing. I would just say they don't have the labor to support it. Like, it's so many things going on. Everybody's building, then you have the investors who's flipping properties. So you got a lot of third party and what is it, subcontractors
Yeah.
that can't get the site and do the things. So they may overlook things, right? Or they think they're done and they're not. So I like doing new construction. It keeps us busy. But a lot of people skip them. They skip them a lot. So I might be in a neighborhood and the next door neighbor who already closed, like, who are you? What are you doing? I'm like, I'm inspecting their house. It's like, people get an inspection on new construction. I'm like, yes, ma'am, they do. And she's like, I wish I would have, because I got a lot of stuff going on. Like, and they figure it out later. So what happens is they end up calling back for 11-month warranty inspection because the builder don't want it inspected. They's like, oh, the county's going to come through. The county doesn't go. They don't walk the roof and they don't put a drone up. They just look and see if it's a roof. They don't look and see if it's installed properly, right? They don't run any water. They just look and see if it's pipes installed. So it's been plenty of things that I've caught that the county inspector didn't, because it's not part of their requirements. It's not about operational for them. It's just code compliance. And code is so what's the bare minimum you need to pass a class? A C,
Yeah.
right? That's what code is. The minimum requirements. And if you comfortable with bare minimum, be comfortable with bare minimum and skip an inspection on new construction and see what happens. Like, please get them please get them inspected.
Please get it, and please have John do it, because him and his team, they do new construction, like he said, and does it very, very well. So definitely hire him for that as well. One quick question. How important is it for a buyer to attend an inspection? Do you prefer it, or it doesn't really matter?
So it depends on the situation. I prefer, because that's less calls back and forth, so they can see it when I see it. This the thing, and this me personally speaking. A lot of inspectors either don't like the client coming or they want them to come towards the end.
Yeah.
I'm completely opposite. Either come when I get there and spend the time with me walking through the house so you can see what I do and how I'm taking care of the house that you're about to move in, and see it when I see it. Or don't come at all, and then we can call later. Because what happens is you don't know what you're gonna run into at that house, right? So you may have all these things going on. And then the customer's like, well, I'm gonna come, 10 minutes before you're done. At this point, you wrapping up, and then you're like, okay, I got to get to my next spot. Or think about it, you now looked over a few thousand items at that point. After you go through all those rooms over and over, test all these things, you honestly may not even remember, because at this point, I'm just taking pictures, right? I just putting it straight in my report. If I don't have it back in front of me, I might not remember everything that I came across. So I will hit those big things. But if you're there with me, you can talk about like some of your concerns and frustrations that you saw during your showing or whatever. We can talk through all those things and give you a better peace of mind about the house. So spend as much time at the house as you can. It's fine, but I prefer you to be there the whole time. Well, let me just call you when I'm done. I don't like when they come at the last 10 minutes. It just doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, you're about to spend all this money. Don't, bypass what you can actually be finding out about this house. So spend the entire time now. We can talk and build a relationship and, figure out what everything is, how it works. I can show you all these things. You can ask me you can get my tape measure and start measuring furniture. You can do all those things, but I've had people literally show up, I have a 10 o'clock appointment. I say, yeah, just get there when I come. You can come at 10. I might get there at 9:30. They was like, okay, we'll be there. And I'm trying to get to 2 o'clock. They want to show up at 1:15. So, and that's the thing, because we're in the service industry, right? And I think a lot of people put home inspections into this, it's like a commodity, right? Because it's the service industry, and I get it, but you're still dealing with human beings, and we want to make sure your time is value added and respect our time too. And I think a lot of people don't expect home inspectors' time, and that's just my personal message for the day. Like, people like, oh yeah, can you do it at this time? Like, I've literally had people call, and I'm like, we have a 10 o'clock available and a 2 o'clock. Oh, can you do it at 5 o'clock? No, I can do it at 10 o'clock or 2 o'clock. So it's a certain time, you know, and I think a lot of people they take home inspectors for jokes sometimes. So they don't, you know, show us some of the love and respect we should have. But we get it. We understand. We the ones who keep you from getting the house. It's never the appraiser. It's always us, right? But I get it. It's a love-hate relationship. But we try. We try.
You guys might be below the appraisers these days.
At these
they have not been on our good list,
deals.
especially during COVID. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
these prices are all over the place because
yeah.
It's rough. And that's the thing. I don't like, I commend you as a realtor. Like, I don't know how you do it. Like, you have to be the buyers, like mommy, daddy, sister, brother, auntie, best friend, like all at the same time. They might call you or text you late at night talking about like changing the like, I don't want that house because that kitchen was painted this color. Like, come on. Like, I've seen it. I've seen how some buyers will, I'm like, I commend you. I appreciate you as a realtor because that's a tough road.
Yeah.
Tough road.
So let's end this. We'll almost end it on a fun note.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about a couple of crazy things that you have encountered on inspection.
You sure? You might not believe me.
A lot of them. So let's just, because I know you have a lot because you told me some doozies.
So let's talk about the ghosts. Like, a lot of people, like I got pictures but I've had ghosts at houses. And I wasn't really into that. Like, my wife talked about it a lot, but I wasn't into spirits and stuff. But it was a house I did in Conyers last year. Yeah, remember? Yeah. So that one had the ghost, and it was a mean ghost. Like, it was doing weird stuff. It cut on the radio in the attic. It was playing with the water when I was testing for water pressure. Ants came out of the shower drain, which I've never seen before. I actually called out for organic substance in the basement, but they never had any water intrusion, anything. It was actually like some type of ectoplasm, whatever you call it, that happens with ghosts. And I literally talked to that realtor last week about it again because she remembered we were in the basement. We heard the door open and close and people walking. And we're like, hey, we're in the basement. Sometime the seller come home, wasn't nobody upstairs. And so I get home, I'm going through pictures, and I see a figure in a window pointing middle finger up at me. And the house was empty at that time. I was outside by myself. Nobody was inside the house because the buyer hadn't made it yet when I took that picture. So that was that. And then literally 2 weeks ago, I had ghosts. It was good spirits. It was those blue orbs that people talk about. So you got a good spirit. I was in this house in Riverdale, and it was the house from the 70s. And I was in the basement by myself, and nice and quiet, but I kept feeling something like watching me. And I ain't paying no mind. I'm still taking my pictures because I take a picture of every room just to show what it looked like when I was in the room. So I got home and I see all these blue orbs. And I was remembering because I heard a door close 3 times. And I thought the agent had came to the house. And I'm like, I'm downstairs. I kept hearing doors close. I was the only one at the house. Like, they were long gone. And I got home. I saw these blue orbs in the photos. So yeah, I've had those, spirits at the house. Luckily that was a good spirit. So can't complain about that one. But the first one it wasn't nice. It was bad. But yeah, we see some things. Yeah, like I've got stuck in the crawl space before from getting chased by dogs. One of my other inspectors, he got locked in the crawl space by the seller on purpose. Yeah, it's weird. I've seen some crazy fixes. Like, I've seen people take extension cords and hook them straight to the electrical panel to power their TV up. Like, you'll be surprised at what some people do. And they're like, yeah, I did all that work myself. I'm like, yeah, I could tell. You didn't pay a professional for that type of stuff. But it's fun. That's the reason I go out every day. You never know what you're gonna get. It's a blessing to go out and see these different things and get these different experiences.
Yeah, very, very true. Well, I thank you so much for this. This was great.
Thanks for the invite.
Great
it was
information. Yep. So this will be going on my YouTube, guys. So make sure that you like it, you subscribe, you hit that bell, Hopefully John will have him a YouTube page soon.
One day, once you teach me, then I'll get one started.
You'll start seeing
I got to go shave up and stuff to do that.
No, you don't. That's the beauty of YouTube. They like
That's the beauty of YouTube.
Yep.
Like they take you as you are.
Yep, they sure do.
Okay.
When you're
I
too
might have to look
stuffy, they
into
don't
it.
want to deal with it. They want to see you in your element, doing your thing.
Nice. Okay, that's what's up.
Yep.
That's
So
what's
guys,
up.
make sure that you check out ATL East OTP on YouTube, and you'll see this video
Nice.
out. I'm probably going to have this probably 2 or 3 videos. So this is going to be broken up in about 2 or 3 videos. So just to let you know, so stay tuned. John's information will be in the comments of every one of the videos. So if you need them, just make sure that you reach out to him, and he'll be there for you. All right. Well, thank you so much, John.
Thank you.
All right. Any last words? Any last words before we go?
No, I'm good. I just appreciate the call. It was fun. So you should do one again.
Good. We will. We'll talk more about those crazy stuff.
Crazy stories. Yeah, I'll have plenty more then.
We'll go on, and we'll definitely take a trip with you on one of your
Please do.
Yeah.
Just let me know. Yeah, and we can set the cameras up on some tripods, and yeah, we can do that. I'll let you fly the drone.
All right. Well, thank you guys. You have a good evening. Bye, John.
Talk to you soon.